She woke to a white ceiling that wasn't hers. The bed she had slept in the night before, brass rails, shallow mattress, a wool blanket that prickled her ankles, was gone. The wallpaper with green vines had disappeared with it. She sat up fast, heart pounding, and realized she was not in the room she and her mother had taken the previous evening. The hallway outside no longer turned right toward a tall window. The bell pulled by the bed was gone, and her mother was nowhere. She crossed the threshold expecting the corridor to open into the lobby where a red carpet ran to the front door. Instead, she faced a narrower passage, different carpet, different light. She walked it anyway, one hand grazing the wall for balance, the other curled around the handle of her small case. The hotel smelled of polish and soap, not of last night's perfume and coal smoke. When she reached the desk, she recognized the brass cage and the ledger, but the clerk behind it was a different man. "My mother's room," she said. "The room we had last night." "What room was that, mademoiselle?" She gave the number she remembered, the floor, the turn at the stairs. She described the wallpaper, the gas globe that had sputtered, the view of the street where lanterns had burned late. The clerk listened with the quiet patience of someone waiting for a bill to be signed. "I'm sorry," he said when she was done. "We have no room of that description." "You do," she said. "We slept there. I signed the book. We arrived after the long ride and my mother took to bed with a fever. She sent me for medicine and now—" She stopped because the words were piling up faster than breath. She set down her case. "Please call the manager." Like many who later told this story, she had come for the fair, when the city filled with visitors and made more beds than any map could hold. The hotel was one of many that sprung up to take them in, each with a desk, a bell, and a staff drilled to keep order. The manager came as requested, a woman with a ring of keys and a face that took everything in without giving anything back. She heard the traveler out, then asked for the name. The book lay open between them. The traveler pointed to a blank space where she swore her own hand had moved the evening before. Her name was not there. No dotted E's, no crossed T's, no record at all. "Perhaps you mean another hotel," the manager said. "A sister property, maybe." "No," the traveler said. "This one. I remember the lobby, the rug, the bell." They walked the halls together. The manager led the way, not hurrying. She stopped at the room with the number the traveler had given. When she opened the door, the bed inside was a sleigh bed of dark wood, not brass. The wallpaper was a muted stripe, not vines. The bell pull hung, but it was a plain cord with no tassel. No smell of fever, no dent in the pillow, no shawl over the chair left in haste. "It has always been this way," the manager said. They looked at other rooms. None matched the traveler's memory. The staff offered suggestions, a confusion of streets after the pharmacy, a second hotel with the same name, a mistake formed under strain. The traveler held to her account. Her mother had been ill. She had placed a cool cloth across her brow. She remembered folding her scarf on the chair, then running out into the night to buy quinine. She asked to see the rooms not offered to guests. She asked to speak to everyone who had been on duty the night before. The manager obliged within reason, but each answer fell the same way. No one remembered her. No one remembered an older woman taken to bed with fever. The porter swore he had not carried their bags. The maid had not seen their shawl. The physician whose name she had been given at the pharmacy could not be reached that day. She went back into the city and tried to retrace her steps. She found the pharmacy by the green bottles in the window. The man behind the counter remembered her, or he said he did, and he remembered selling quinine and a small vial of laudanum. He did not remember which hotel she had said, only that she had been in a hurry. He gave her the same doctor's name and address as the night before. The address led to a quiet street where the brass plate read the doctor's name, but no one answered. By afternoon, the traveler returned to the hotel carrying the medicine she had bought twice. She insisted again on the room that had vanished. The manager's face did not change. A police officer came at last, summoned more to calm a scene than to open an inquiry. He listened and then asked for papers. Her passport proved who she was, but it could not prove where she had slept. He walked the halls. He said, "You have had a shock, and let us find your mother in another place." He did not open doors the manager would not. What happened next depended on who repeated the account. Some said the hotel feared scandal and removed the mother and all trace of her room overnight. Some said plague had been suspected and the old woman had died quickly, spirited away to stop panic while the fair brought money in. Some said the traveler had broken under the stress of the journey and imagined details to fill a blank space she could not face. In every version, the hotel denied it all, and the daughter stood her ground. She searched hospitals. She searched the morgue. Clerks turned their books for her and let her look. She learned the look people gave when they were trying to be kind to someone they thought unstable. She spent a night in a smaller hotel near the station, then came back the next morning and stood in the lobby of the first, refusing to leave until the manager allowed her one more round of rooms. Nothing matched. She went again to the pharmacy. The man repeated that he had sold the medicine and wrote the directions again. Years later, people said they still remembered the story of the woman who came to the fair and lost her mother in a hotel that changed overnight. The details shifted with the telling, but certain points stayed. A missing room, a ledger with no name, a daughter who would not accept the blank page. Newspapers and travel columns retold it as a caution. Keep track of your papers, keep track of your companions, trust, but verify. Researchers who went back looking for an official case file or police report did not find one. Names were missing, dates were vague, and the trail ran to retellings rather than records. What could be said for sure was narrow and unsatisfying. At the time of the fair, the city was crowded, and hotels made and unmade rooms wherever they could. Public health rules were uneven and often enforced quietly to avoid unrest. Hospitals were full and records were imperfect. It was possible for a traveler to be misled by language, fatigue, and fear. It was also possible for a business to remove a problem overnight and pretend it had never existed. Between those two truths sat the space where the tale kept its hold. If there was a last scene, it was not dramatic. She wrote letters. She waited for answers that did not come. She returned home with a suitcase that held 2 bottles of medicine, both unopened. Family asked the questions families ask. Are you sure of the address? Did you speak to the right person? Could it have been another hotel? And she answered the same way every time. She had stood in the room. She had cooled her mother's brow. The bed had been brass. The wallpaper had vines. The bell pull had a tassel. People who heard her believed her or did not. The city went on. The fair closed and the lights came down. Long after, the story traveled farther than she had, told in trains and drawing rooms and then on pages. However it began, it ended the same way each time. A young woman walked into a lobby certain of what she had seen and left with nothing but her word to hold it up. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. Subscribe for more true stories, if you dare.